Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the short delay of trying to get this all figured out of how we're actually being able to do this. So, like I said, today you should have be able to see it. If not, it is recording, so we can make sure it gets added to our YouTube channel. But the main thing we're talking about is our resources. Um, Anything electronic, just be able to leverage what resources we actually have. And like I said, my personal favorite is the iPad Pro. Like I mentioned, definitely want to check out PDF Expert. That's kind of the premise of this whole chat, and that's right where we're going to dive into. It's um, it's by Riedel, um, which I say you can see this letter I wrote yesterday for the client um, to help. So we're basically replacing a policy with Forrester's. But the reason I like this application is for the instance of if something ever came up, we needed to redo the form or something wasn't correct, we need to redo everything again, um, which we've had this happen a couple times. You actually can copy and paste uh, the signature, which I think it makes it very easy to if you had to any type of corrections, um, be able to get that onto what you needed to get onto essentially. But it's definitely been a game changer. And today we're really just going to dig into how to kind of get everything set up. Um, so the cool thing about PDF Expert, it's a couple different things. One, you can have a Dropbox link to it. So if I hit my Dropbox here, it'll show everything that I actually have in Dropbox. It'll link everything to it. So if I want to go through the carrier files, everything is technically already here. Only thing I didn't like about using this option was the fact that it has everything. So what I mean by everything, let me see. Yeah, this one has everything. All the different underwriting guides, the brochures, all that stuff that technically I don't need on this application. On this, I really just need the applications just to make it a little bit cleaner. So there's a cool feature called Computer. So if you hit this, it's going to bring up unique website. So pdfwifi.com. And what it does, as long as your devices are on the same Wi-Fi network, and you type in the special code that you see here, let me do it on my computer just to PDF Wi-Fi. 7213. So I'll give it a second to connect. All right, so it is connected through, like I said, I'm using Google Chrome, so that's why it's showing up the Chrome logo. But in this section, you're basically able to drag and drop whatever you want onto this iPad. And it'll be loaded into whatever files you want, setup wise, on the PDF Expert dashboard. So what I did, which you can't see my actual screen for this one, but there's an option to add folder, and all I did was add folder for each carrier. All of them are obviously named, and then each time there's an application, because I have those same folders that are inside my Dropbox are also on my desktop, or you can pull it from the Dropbox. It doesn't matter. Since I've made the Dropbox, I have them in two different places on purpose. But you're able to pull those files and drag them over directly onto the iPad. And what it does, it allows them to show up just how, actually, just how it's under my files. So each of these different folders now only has what I needed to have inside the actual folder. So it would just be the application. Um, Carriers like Foresters, for example, that have questionnaires, I dragged all the applications or anything that I would need to have a physical signature on, or if I ever need to get something redone. So the base application, replacement forms, sales material statement, um, the illustration certification, that's all there, the stuff that needs to be signed, as well as any type of questionnaires that would come up. So, for example, yesterday I had to fill out the tobacco questionnaire. So once I got it filled out, what I'll end up doing is saving a copy of this file, and then I'm going to put, this was Stallings, which I didn't even do this yet for yesterday. So gentleman quit smoking 3 years ago, but just in case they ask for the tobacco questionnaire or when did he quit smoking, if it comes up on MIB, which it should, because like I said, we applied for this almost 4 years ago. I already have that copy saved. So what it does, it makes 2 different copies. So this is the copy with his last name. This is the original. So when I go back to the original, all I have to do is just erase all this good stuff that's here. Now I'm back to square one with having a questionnaire that's ready to use for that client. So that's why I think it's super, super important, super imperative to definitely leverage your iPad. Now it doesn't have to be an iPad Pro, just the newest one, biggest screen. That's what I liked. Reason being, once you open up, how you open up these up, reason I prefer the bigger one over the smaller one, it's an easier surface to write on. You don't, especially if it's already in landscape mode or if it's set up with like a keyboard, the document automatically fills the screen. It's not super tiny where you have to zoom in, or if it's the other orientation, you gotta like slide it over. So if it only shows this much of it on the other side, then you gotta slide it this way to get the other side. So this one, it's the way that these open up document wise, it's like the perfect size to be able to write on it without having to adjust it. So if I wanted to write, well, this is upright, so it's going to be terrible handwriting, but I'm still writing fairly big, and like I said, I'm not having to adjust it. It's not overlapping. Then the new pencil with the double tap for the eraser, it's probably my favorite thing because I mess up a lot. And then signature. So I mean, you don't have to really do much with it for it to, like I said, not have to really move it around. You're just going up and down. Now, typically, if I put it inside of landscape mode, it will be a little bit smaller, but sometimes I can get the whole first page to fit inside the actual screen, which it makes sense sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. It all just depends on what application. If it's like an AMAM app or something, to where those top boxes, they kind of all flow together. They're not really like two separated. I might do it that way, just so I can get all the questions that are going to be no's answered off no's. But so the big thing though is, like I said, you're able to port folders over by linking it to your PC with this little Wi-Fi to iPad transfer system that they have. Like I said, probably by far my favorite tool, because otherwise it was when I had the other options like the notability option, it just wasn't as clean or easy to transfer stuff over how I wanted to. Yes, you can link the Dropbox over, but once again, by doing that, like I said, I think it causes a lot more clutter, especially in some of these folders where I know that there's a lot of stuff inside of them, and there's a lot of subfolders. Could you do it? Yes, but like I said, I would prefer it to be separate on my personal end. That way, I'm able to, like I said, have everything that needs to be filled out in those separate files. Only downside to that is, yes, if applications change or if things you have to update applications, then yeah, you're gonna have to update the paper apps. Be one extra step, but opposed to having the Dropbox, that's still, like I said, it takes me, I have to update those too. So kind of gets to the same place. It doesn't really help, but in terms of being able to say fix applications or make subtle adjustments or changes, it's a pretty easy process to do it, and It said it's only really available to be done if you do the application. You have to do a paper app on the actual iPad. So with that being said, kind of going to move to the next point, is the actual Dropbox. So inside this Dropbox, um, everyone should have access to. Like I said, it's called. A lot of confusion was happening, so I renamed it. So it's Carrier Files still with the dash, and then Amp Life Partners, just so you know whose Carrier Files it actually is. Um, so they said this is a lot of people had some of the same name for stuff, but they were getting mixed up who's who. So first thing you want to look at, Carrier Files, is the Carrier links sheet. So what this is, which I get this question a lot, where's the quote tool? How do you get to the back office? The e-application, is it specialty link? Is it inside the back office? Yeah, separate login. I get a bunch of different questions. So there's literally the PDF that I made. One that allows you to, this is printable. So you actually can print this off, or you can save it to your own iPad or put it into your PDF expert, where you literally can write in your carrier number or your writing number for each carrier, so you don't forget those. Like I said, believe it or not, that's a question I get for seasoned people. What is my writing number? And that still baffles me. I'll try to find it occasionally, but if you don't know your number, highly recommend calling into the carrier and giving them your social. They'll be able to tell you your actual number. But once you get the number, write it down. Also, username and password. Some carriers, it's your writing number. Other carriers, you create your own. So write those down so you don't mess those up or have to keep constantly resetting your password over and over just to get logged in. Then the next thing, carrier quote tool links. So every carrier, they're always in different places. Some of them require logins, some of them don't. Some of them are websites. Some of them are applications you can download from the Apple Play Store or the Google Play Store. I tried to put them down there, which one's which. Now, some companies offer both, but usually the one that's listed is the better option to actually go with. But what you can do, let's do AMAM. So you can actually copy and paste the actual link. So copy, we'll go back to, so whenever you're doing links on an iPad, you always want to use Safari. The reason I say that is so here's everything, AMAM. The reason I say everything's Safari is with the Safari application for iPad, it allows you to do this one little button right here. It doesn't necessarily let you do it on the Chrome browser or any other type of application, but the built-in Safari web browser allows this to happen. It's called the Add to Home Screen button. So if you hit the little box with the arrow pointing up, it's going to open up all the different options. You send it as a text message, send it as an email, add it as a note, save it to your iBooks, and then all these other different things. Add it to bookmarks, add to favorites, copy, open in news, print it. I mean, all those different options you have, but there's this one special one, add to home screen. What that button does, it's whatever website you choose, it allows it to be an on-screen icon. This works for your iPhone as well. So for example, in this case, I have two different American Amicable setups. First one is going to be for the phone quoter, which should get you to this screen. Once you log into it, as your name shows up, make sure it's you. If not, one of the links should have my information. If you need it, tell me. But I hit add to home screen. It's gonna make this little icon. So I'll just call it AMAM quotes. AMAM quick quote add. Then everything else closes, and this is the hard part. You got to figure out where did it go. Typically speaking, it's the first open slot. So it ended up being right here, this AMAM e-app. But right. No, that's the e-app. Sorry, that's from the last call we did. That's not the right one. Quick quote. Here's the one we did. So if I click on this little button, which looks like a normal application that I would download from the Play Store, it's actually going to bring up the website, so you can go right into quoting. The other one that's there. So if I went back and do this one, see if I can get it to do it. Go back. Okay. If I hit mobile application, which I have one of these set up as well, on this particular screen, I would do the same thing, box with the up arrow, and hit add to home screen. I'm not going to click on this one because I already found that I have one. It'll be this one right here. It pulls up the same site again. So this makes it super simple to get to the e-app as well as to the phone quote. Reason that there's two of them. So the way I run quote tools, each quoting tool doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be an e-app. So what that means for companies like KC Life, that's the only real exception. That and Gerber, or not Gerber, AIG, excuse me. Between KC Life and AIG, those are the only two exceptions to get the quotes. It's also the same exact place. You have to log into it first, as well as you're able to do the e-app from that same place. Each company's going to have their own little application where once I click on the website, it's going to pull it up inside of Safari. Sorry, I went blank for a second. Like I said, each company, though, like I said, they're starting to have applications where you can download. Now, this Foresters one, for example, it doesn't do the quoting. It just gives you access to the back office. It has the mobile quote option. What's going to happen? It's going to take you to the same online page again. So, no real reason to have it. Plus, checking your business from that tool is not the greatest just yet. But like I said, each company, so they're going to have a little website to go to, or for example, companies like CFG, they're going to have an application just like this. And then you have to type in the password. For this one, it's CFGFE. And it gets you logged into that. But like I said, that information, you wouldn't know that unless you open up the Dropbox. So this one right here, term, CFG SIT for the App Store for term for Columbia Financial Group, and for filing expenses, CFG FE. But like I said, each of those different apps, they all have a place that you're able to pull those up and tells you where to locate those. So you can get everything set up. Carriers like Oxford and stuff like that, unfortunately, they're just their website for now. I don't think there's a mobile app. Or no, I take that back. There's a mobile app. It's right here. So I have to update that. I have to add that one to that sheet. It is a mobile app for that, but it has a login attached to it. So that's how you log into their back office. But the mobile quoting, you actually can do it without logging in when we sell the assurance product. So it's not a bad application. It could use some work, definitely. But you can do the Oxford on their mobile app. And then same would go for Prosperity. You have to log into Prosperity. And then you would run it as Quote Engine, the first one. It'll bring up everything you need there. So it's a lot of the things, unfortunately, do require you to have logins. Some of them don't. It just depends on the carrier, which, like I said, I map out which one's which inside this actual sheet. The next thing I have is the carrier e-apps and logins. So this is logging into either the e-app, like AMAM has right here, or logging into the back office. So a lot of times if I need to check pending, or people that have questions, what's the status of this, and they can't find it, or they're not sure about it, or they don't check their pending at all, and I kind of give them the first month courtesy of, here's something you want to look at, or go get some more information for XYZ case. That's what I'm able to at least tell them that. I can't talk. But this one, like I said, I have two different ones. Reason being, I said one's going to be the e-application, and the other one's going to be the back office site. Just be able to log in, check things. So you notice some of them have two different sites to log into. Like Phoenix is kind of weird right now, or NASRE. They have an old login that still works for e-apps, and then their new login, it sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. So I find myself logging into the old one to do the e-app, not the new one. Um, and then everything else is just checking business. So either checking pending or logging in. So like Forrester is probably my favorite one. Not because I like writing them a lot, but it's in one spot. So everything that you need from Forrester's, it's in one small spot, from checking your back office, checking your commissions, checking your comp statements, to even doing the e-app, as well as running illustrations for actual products while you're not on actual their desktop software. So literally everything is in one centralized spot for them, other than the quoting tool. But like I said, you can check all of your documents, your business, illustrations on the top right through the e-app. So it makes it super simple to know where everything's at in one centralized spot. So I think they by far have one of the better websites. It's not the best layout, but it's definitely one of the better ones that's up there. Um, so, I mean, even though AMAM looks older, it's not as fancy. I think they have one of the better websites in terms of ease of use and functionality. You're able to do a lot of stuff pretty quickly. Some of the stuff in Foresters, you kind of got to dig for it from time to time, but it's a good, clean interface for both those carriers. Um, so that's, like I said, that's the main stuff with the technology piece. So once you go to the Dropbox, now this stuff, it's going to take, especially on a new device. I mean, whether it's setting up an iPad, setting up your laptop, setting up your phone, wherever the case of it actually is, it's going to take some time. It's one of those things where you're going to have to spend the half hour to an hour to get everything set up to where it needs to be to make you the most efficient inside the actual field. So the same quote tools I have on my iPad are on my cell phone. So literally everything mirrors each other. So no matter what device I actually have, I'm able to do the same exact stuff. It's in the same exact spots. And unfortunately, there isn't a way to transfer over those web links or the icons. There's not a way to transfer these over from one device to another device. Tried it numerous times by syncing the iPad, syncing the phone. It doesn't work, unfortunately. Um, there's not really a easy way to do that. So you basically have to sit down and just do the same process twice over. What I will say though, the beauty of them though, once these are set up and it's on your Apple keychain or your Apple ID, the passwords transfer over. So if you notice, every time I clicked on something, it uses the Face ID to log in for me. So I literally don't have to remember any passwords again. I don't have to fumble through which is for what carrier, any of that nonsense. It's simply, hey, it's already saved on both phone as well as iPad, and automatically does it for me. So I think that's a huge plus for what we're trying to do, and just not taking a lot of the guesswork out of it. Um, so that's this part. Like I said, it maps out if the e-app is in a separate spot. Like I said, AMAM's one of the funky ones where um, it's technically three different links. If you want to look at it on a paper standpoint, but in reality, they have one master link. It has four different options. Whether you want to do the web app, the phone quoter, the app drop, so you can submit your applications electronically via their Dropbox, as well as any type of amendments or any type of called doc drop. Any other documents that are needed for the application can be dropped on the American Amicable site. So, like I said, it seems confusing, but they have a lot of different stuff you're able to have access to quickly. Um, but like I said, any other questions on that? I mean, don't be afraid to reach out and ask for clarity on something. But like I said, pretty much all of these links, they should work to get you where you need to be, unless processes have drastically changed, which most of them haven't. They will inside the near future, I'm guessing for sure. So don't be afraid to reach out and ask me. This one doesn't. Yeah, so RX chat's fine. I don't need that. Plus two, I mean, if you're running Best Plan Pro, for some of that quote stuff, especially on the final expense side of things, you wouldn't have to worry about that either, just because it's able to get that quoted for you. Now, is it easier sometimes to quote through the actual application? Yes. It all just depends on the actual carrier. But that is something that can be helpful as well for you. So next thing inside the Dropbox. So we got through the carrier links. You know how to get that set up. People that want to order business cards. If you click on the business card PDF, it should be updated. We had a problem with it earlier this past week. Let me just double check, make sure it works. And it's still not doing the same thing. So I'll have to fix that link again. It's not working. So this should look like this when you open it up. The order my own option should show up, and you're able to order, edit it, and change the different things behind it. So yeah, we've had a problem with the first link. We'll get that one fixed. Don't worry about it. Or I think I have it fixed. This isn't the right template. I don't think. I think I need to paste the new link because this was already purple. So, all right. So next most important thing, be the carriers at a glance. So a lot of questions that come up. Okay, this guy is after the meds, or usually it might be sometimes before the meds. Hey, does American Amicable takes someone that's 76 on term? Well, the question is, I don't know. Let's go look. So that's where the carriers at a glance sheet comes up. So it's literally all of the key carriers, not every single carrier, all the key carriers that we're going to use on a day-to-day basis, with the day-to-day product, the main products. Now, some of these carriers offer 3 to 5 more products beyond this, but this is the main stuff we'll be looking at for what we're currently doing. And it's going to map out what they do. So from the 15-year product, they go sample 20 to 65. 20 years, 20 to 60. That's both for smoker as well as non-smoker. For 20-year return of premium, non-tobacco, it's only 20 to 60. But if you're a smoker, it's only age 20 to 40, and so forth. So it basically breaks down all different numbers. But to the first question, hey, do they write term on someone age 76? No, they actually go up to age 75. So just take some of the guesswork out of it. Or, hey, how is their whole life product structured? What's the difference between immediate and graded? What is ROP? All those different questions, they're shown right here in time of the benefit structure. How does each one pay? Is it immediate 100%? Is it a staggered, tiered out, graded product, 30, 70, 100? It's all the information is going to be here, along with probably my favorite spot is going to be the included riders versus the additional cost riders. In the game where things are dictated by what's given inside of a product and what's not, because the pricing, like I said, pricing is all typically relative for the most part, especially on whole life. You're dealing within a handful of dollars in most cases, where you're really dictating them the company you want them to be with, not only because they're going to get approved with it, but like I said, I would look at different things: ease of use, customer service, claims paying. Do I actually like the people that are actually there? Are they able to answer questions? So the way I get a vibe for a carrier is how they treat me as an agent answering questions. I would expect the clients to get the same, if not better, treatment from that particular carrier. So if I find a carrier giving me a hard time on the actual phone, I can only imagine what they're going to do to the actual client. Because usually it's not too far off, especially if you've called in to numerous carriers, like we all have, for the client, and kind of doing some of those questions for them and getting on the phone with them. Like I said, we've seen some of those other carriers. We're not going to name names, but their customer service it's hoops to jump through to get a simple surrender form done. I mean, you got to talk to 5 different people. They transfer you. They don't really answer the questions. I mean, there's so much stuff that you got to like almost work for. And as an agent, you're calling in to help the client because you know what to ask for, but they still make it very, very difficult. So there's none of the carriers that we actually work with that actually do that. First off, it's some of these outside companies that are the TV insurance companies. I'll leave it at that. But so this sheet, though, for you, it's able to break down all this good stuff into one centralized spot to where you're able to, just, like I said, just spend this. You don't have to memorize it. but just glance at it. Whatever marketplace you're actually in, whether you're mortgage protection or if you're filing expense focused, if you're filing expense focused, don't disregard the term stuff. Just look at all the different whole life products and see who does what. Um, and then from there, you're going to want to quote out the different products. Do some sample cases, run some quotes, figure out who's the better person for the young and healthy. Is it Mutual Omaha? Is it AmAm? Do I like Transamerica? We try to avoid writing Transamerica. We like to use e-apps, instant decision processes, or phone apps. But is Mutual Omaha good? Is Oxford good for the young and healthy? Trinity? Like, those are the things you want to ask yourself and kind of get a good foundation of who you like to use. So from people between the ages of 50 and 60, this company tends to be the best go-to option. Once I get a little bit older, 60 to 70, where the rate tables start switching, okay, who's going to be the next option? It's the first, my go-to company still a good one, or is it, or do the tables switch? For example, like Mutual Omaha, they're going to come up pretty good for most all cases, except they're really good for people that are 80. They're a really good price. They're light years away from people that are at that older bracket. While they might in the 50-year-old range, they might be only a couple dollars different. But is it worth some of those older people that start having more health challenges to where Mutual Omaha could be more of a strict application? Is it worth the hassle of trying to fight or squeeze them into that product that's going to save them $2, or the product that's going to not really give too much pushback, no matter how old they are and what's going on health wise, and still get them day one coverage, like AmAm, like an Oxford, the prosperity option. I mean, there's a lot of different ways of actually doing it. That's if you're filing expense focused. So getting familiar with each of the filing expense products. Who's my go-to option for people that are under the age of 50 or under the age of 45? Liberty Bankers, Assurance. Transamerica has a younger age product, a lot more strict. Same with AmAm. They have a younger age product, a lot more strict. Why we don't recommend it a lot unless you absolutely have to do it. But having those different ideas of where would you place people in those lower brackets. If you're term focused, look at all the different term products. Who goes to what ages? Who's the oldest carrier, or what carrier gives the oldest age to get a 20-year term over 15? Or what carriers start doing 10-year terms at a younger age and they don't take a huge hit in comp? So those are different questions that, like I said, those are some different questions that I personally get. You want to start thinking about of who's the better option. Like I said, I mean, personally, my favorite's Foresters. Yes, you take a comp hit on it. I get it. I get the comp hit too. So, but from ease of use and literally, I'll use yesterday's case as an example. 20-year AmAm product, one of my first apps I ever wrote, April 2015. And they sent in a brand new lead card in. So I mean, everything was good. Then I looked at the case because everything's saved on all my Google email accounts. I searched when the application was sent in. Turned out husband canceled his application not even a month into having the policy. He never made it through underwriting, essentially. So he canceled it instantly. He was a smoker back then. So his rates, believe it or not, even though he's 4 years older, they were still cheaper for what we were trying to get. We were trying to get a 15-year term. Americo 4 years ago was like $100 a month. Foresters yesterday was $73 for a $50,000 15-year term. And because he's a non-smoker now. He's been tobacco free for 3 years. Wife, on the other hand, perfectly good health, 2 blood pressure pills, did AmAm Home Protector. I believe we went Home Protector. I think I double apped her because she had a term app from Americo in there as well. I think Americo declined her due to build chart. So AmAm was our backup. Got AmAm approved. She's had it on the books for the past 4, almost 5 years now. Since it was a 20-year product, and like I said, AmAm's really good price, but she's 57 now. Ages between for Foresters, 40 to 65. Their 15 and 20-year products are sometimes 15 to 20, maybe even $25 cheaper a month than every other carrier. And even though she was 4 years older, Instead of writing, now the difference is I wrote her a 15-year term versus 20 because she only had technically 15 years left. So this is the only way this actually worked. But I was able to write her the same $61 premium on a 15-year Forester's term just to match up to how much time is left on her current policy. She's only has like 4 months, 15, it's 15 years and like 4 months left before it's a true 15-year product. So, but the same thing, I was able to write her for $61 a month for $105,000 of coverage with Foresters on the 15-year product. She had an $88,000 policy previously. It wasn't because she wanted 88,000. It was all budget. She wanted to spend $60 a month. So it was $60.94. So I rounded up, got her a flat 105,000. So I basically increased her coverage $17,000. Wrote her a new 15-year plan. But the beauty of both of those apps, they both have living benefits, full living benefits now. So that was the big selling point, was upgrading them. And if you look at the post I posted yesterday, they didn't spend a single dime extra coverage-wise. I ended up finagling the husband's old AIL policy, which I basically overlooked as a rookie agent, into an Advantage Plus for $30,000, just to give him back whole life because he had a whole life policy. For $40,000 whole life, I gave him a $30,000 Advantage Plus. Now, don't say why is it $30,000. Advantage Plus goes up, so as he gets older, it's gonna accrue more paid up dividends for it to get closer to that 40,000. But I also wrote him a $50,000 term for the next 15 years, so it's going to overlap for the next 15 years. He's going to have 80 grand if he actually passed away, opposed to what he currently had was only 40, paying $180 a month for it. So it was ridiculously priced because he was a smoker then. So he's a non-smoker now. We saved him a bunch of money, honestly, I used every single penny he already spent, but I got him what he wanted on both sides. I got him back his burial coverage, and I got him the term policy for his mortgage protection without spending a single extra penny out of his pocket. Dude was ecstatic. Wife was super happy as well. And they gave me dinner as well. So, it's the little things. But I tell that story just to, one, knowing your products is definitely key, and the more you understand about your products, the easier this business actually is. But that was just my little plug for Foresters, why I use them a lot, just because of their pricing. But back to what we were talking about, Term Life Express, understanding what living benefits that they actually have on the included side, what percentage they actually do them at. They do them at 80%. Foresters, for example, they do theirs. It's way up here. Yeah, Foresters, for example, they are at 95% for 2 out of the 4 or 2 out of the 3. So understanding those different benefits, AMAM, they have a couple included minus the critical illness. Americo on paper is 100% for all 3 of them. It's up to them to choose how that plays out, and they can terminate the policy whenever they feel like it if they accept 100% of those benefits. But that would just be the carriers at a glance sheet, just kind of going over a lot of those different things in there, knowing what carrier does what and how coverages break down. And whether, for example, these final expense folks, if knowing the difference between a true graded product like this one versus a modified or ROP option. So, for example, Rural Neighbors on their graded, it's a true grade at 30, 70, 100. Mutual Omaha on the same thing, on their living promise, their graded is actually a return of premium. It's 10% interest plus premiums paid for the first two years. So this chart breaks down the difference of that, because that's probably one of the most important questions that does come up a lot, to where I usually send a link to this thing so you can see it and you can save it. Not that I'm not going to answer the question, I want you to know where the answers are coming from. So if they ever come up again, which they usually do, you know where to actually find them. Next most important thing on here, if you don't have Best Plan Pro, or if you're weary about getting it to start, or if it's for a single issue, it's the Ricky Ballard Final Expense Cheat Sheet. So this kind of breaks down a lot of the basics. He takes Direct Express, no height and weight charts, telesales, 10, 20 pays, single pay options. It gives you a lot of good details of who's who inside the final expense space. And a lot of their phone numbers are here, which on the other at a glance sheet, sorry, I forgot to mention that part. Each carrier at the bottom has their home office phone number. So people ask me, hey, what's the phone number for so and so? It's on the at a glance sheet. So literally anything that you can need from an insurance company, it's inside of this Dropbox. But like this Ricky balance sheet, like I said, if you don't have Best Plan Pro yet, or you're waiting to get it, saving up cash flow, whatever the case of it actually is, or if it's for a single issue, like, hey, client has AFib, that's it, nothing else. Um, it's a good one-stop shop just to review what are the possible options that this client can be approved with. Now, I will say the only carrier that's not on this cheat sheet is AmAm, because they didn't have AmAm when they made this chart. AmAm, it's pretty much wherever Mutual Omaha is on the application, American Amicable should be right behind it, or even Prosperity. So if you see Mutual Omaha and Prosperity being able to take that client, it's very, very likely AmAm will take the client as well. Same could probably be said for Foresters. If Foresters takes it, there's a good chance American Amicable will take it as well. They have similar setup of questions. I'm not guaranteeing that, just based off of some of the normal questions that comes up, it usually matches up to what AmAm does as well. But this, like I said, a lot of different stuff in here. Single impairments. You're able to kind of be able to get that done and look at those. People that want a little bit extra training, there's a carrier training sheet inside this as well. So each of these are going to have brain sharks. So for example, hey, I want to learn more about, which I got to update this one because this one's old now. I want to learn more about the Your Turn product. So you click on the link, it brings up a Forrester's video. Actually, they updated the links. That is really cool. Let me see the Vantage Plus. Did they update this one? Huh, this one might be the new one. I gotta double check if it's number 2 or not. They just changed the name of it, so it might be the same one. But yeah, these are super cool links with short videos or brain sharks to where you're able to get a little glimpse of what the carrier does, how they do it, important features. So definitely, if you're newer, check out the carrier training links. It gives you a little bit of an insight on those carriers. For your MP slingers, you have 2 other things in here that are outside of the folders. First is the MP Common Term Underwriting First Looks. So what that is, it's a compiled list based off of other experts, as well as mainly myself, of cases I've gotten approved. So these are not guessing. These are actually cases. Sometimes there are more than one case. Sometimes it was only a one case that actually got done, but it was confirmed by someone else. They got a case approved there as well. So a lot of the industry leading MP experts with us at IFG, we kind of compile a list of the who's who, or the most common things that come up for us, or the most common questions I end up getting, and put where to actually place the client. Only thing that's not on here, driving record. It's kind of a gray area. They're all slightly different. There's not really a good way to take care of those options yet in terms of having a chart, other than reading each of the questions, because each question is slightly different. So Mutual Omaha asks 4 infractions the last 5 years. AmAm asks 3 infractions the last 3 years. So I mean, there's subtle differences. Just looking at the application is the only way to really figure that out. So, but basic stuff: diabetes, pills only; diabetes, insulin; diabetes and high blood pressure, 2 pills or less. Those different combination, it kind of maps out the top 3. If you notice, it's the same 3 to 4 carriers that we'll use. Those are kind of our MP focused companies. Anything on here that says Mutual of Omaha, it can be interchanged with Kansas City Life. So you can write the same thing on KC Life if Mutual Omaha pops up. We just didn't add them. A lot of people didn't use them quite yet. So, but just so you know, anything that says Mutual KC Life can be on there as well. But for the most part, I mean, Foresters, AmAm, and Move. Those would be the top 3 heavy hitters. You want to throw KC Life in there, which I probably would, simply because living benefits plus 100% return to premium. No other company's doing it. So with the true living benefits where it's not going to terminate the policy, Americo on paper does it, yes, but it's not the same thing, unfortunately. as well as my go-to also be Forrester's Smart UL. But those are answered down here in here as well. Best return on premium with living benefits. I think the UL is the better option. Then you got Casey Life, then you have the Americo option. So um, next one would be your height and weight chart. This one is for, sorry, all these emails. Term carriers only. So all the term bill charts as they sit currently are inside of here. Instead of looking through 10 different rate books, you can go through one sheet of one, 3 or 4 page PDF, and they're all here. You can see if the client's going to fit. You have to make them, shave them down a little bit, make them a little bit skinnier, or stretch them out, make them an inch taller. So use your discretion advised for that. So don't do anything too crazy, or any questions on it, call and ask me, and we'll see if it's viable or if it's better to just go whole life without the build chart. So that's that sheet. Everything else in here, it's all divided up by carrier folders. Templates to mail merge, that's probably an important folder to talk about. Reason being, it has different mail merge instructions, whether you're doing a refresh letter, and you're remailing some older leads, and kind of get them refreshed and kind of get them back on the chopping block. If you're doing Facebook leads and you need to merge their data into the card that they filled out or to the template that they filled out, there's instructions for that. As well as lead code mail merge instructions. So you're able to basically pull all this information from a lead code Excel sheet into their actual lead document. So all that stuff is all in one spot, how to do it. So any questions that you can ask me, but the files themselves are on the Dropbox. Other than that, I think that is pretty much it with the Dropbox stuff. Only other thing I would add, obviously, you said we got the e-apps down, so whatever carrier offers an e-app, that's what you want to try and use. I only use the PDF Expert paper apps for if there's absolutely zero service, there's no Wi-Fi offered by my hotspot or from the client, and I'm in a huge rush, I need to do a paper app. That's one time I'll kick out a paper app. Or if the process is easier via paper app. So for example, Oxford Life, it's a 3-page paper app. It's super easy to just fill out the first 3 pages and then log in, do the InstaWrite option online versus doing their e-app and then the InstaWrite. It just makes it a little bit easier for some reason to do the paper app. It's faster. Personal preference. But the last thing I would add, if you are not tech savvy or not hip, don't have an iPad yet, still brand new, trying to build up cash flow, easy way to get an iPad, add to your cellular plan. That's the easiest way. So that's how I got this guy here. It adds 50, 60 bucks. So this iPad is obviously a 4G or 5G iPad. But if you don't, like I said, it's an easy way to add it. But if you don't and you're stuck doing paper for now, just to start, I will help be a lifesaver by mentioning or recommending one thing. Let me see. I know Staples does it. So there's a pen called the Pilot Frixon pen. So what that is, it is an erasable pen. It is an absolute lifesaver. So I found out about these when I used to work at Staples. They're these guys right here. You don't have to get the box, but they're refillable. So I get the small 3-pack. It's like $6. But the difference between these pens now versus how old school erasable pens were, these pens have a rubberized tip. So it's not like an actual eraser. It's not going to tear up the paper, but it causes friction. So that's the name Frixon. It causes friction in heat to make the ink evaporate. So I use these for the first, honestly, I mean, I just got hip to technology 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half, doing e-apps where that's when all the platforms got really, really good. So until then, I was using this pen. I mean, I went through, I can't tell you how many refills. I probably went through 2 packs of pens, but the refills, I bought them every 90 days because I'll just fly through them. how many paper apps you're actually doing. But it's an erasable pen. So if you ever mess up on paper apps, which a lot of newbies and fresh agents are going to mess up, it's totally fine. Just because I made a lot of mistakes too, but it allows you to fix those mistakes, not have to destroy one application in order to get back on track and fix it. So, highly recommend these if you're not using technology quite yet, whether it be an iPad, touchscreen laptop. Doesn't really matter which one it is right now, but if you're stuck using paper apps, this is going to be your best friend. It'll save you a lot of time, a lot of money, as well as any type of issues that come up where you need to adjust things or make fixes. Having it done inside of an erasable pen definitely helps.